Metroid Dread is quite the release for the series, considering it's a game that's been 15 years in the making. It's got a lot to live up to since fans have been waiting for so long, especially since the announcement of Metroid Prime 4. With the rise of Metroidvanias like Hollow Knight in the Ori series, Metroid Dread has some tough competition, but let's see if it can earn its place alongside the greats of the genre. The story opens up with some background giving a quick summary of what's happened in the series up to this point, before explaining that there's this virus called the X-Parasite which can imitate and ultimately kill its host, seemingly living on planet ZDR. Emmy robots were sent to this planet to eliminate the virus before it traveled to new ones, but they lost contact with the Emmy. So Samus, being the only one immune to the virus, is sent to explore this planet and figure out what's going on. Like all Metroidvanias, Metroid Dread is focused on exploring environments for new upgrades that unlock previously blocked off areas. You'll be unlocking a lot of new areas because the sheer amount of upgrades here is insane. You get a new upgrade about every 30 minutes or so, which really helps keep the game moving. Even though you get a ton of upgrades, you're never overwhelmed because a lot of the upgrades just replace an old upgrade with a stronger version that has a new environmental and combat use. Samus's arm cannon, for example, starts out like a regular blaster before becoming the triple shot, plasma beam, and then the wave beam. Each upgraded version is stronger in combat, interacts with new things in the environment, and opens new doors. Even though you're backtracking to previously visited areas, it never feels tedious because your movement becomes faster and more efficient throughout the game. The movement in general feels amazing. Samus is very responsive, but you still have to be calculated as she has animations for everything she does. There's definitely a learning curve when trying to become efficient with new movement abilities as well. Each environment has different enemy types. Some do feel similar to others, but there's a surprising amount of variety. There's even more powerful versions of old enemies when backtracking later in the game, tied to the story, which scales the difficulty as you become more powerful. To combat enemies, you obviously have your arm cannon, as well as the melee counterattack that returns from Samus Returns. There's a good risk and reward with it, since you have to properly time the enemy attack to counter it, and in return you'll get more health and/or rockets. There are 8 different environments, and each one is gorgeous in its own way. The backgrounds are so detailed, giving some extra depth to the world. Being an exploration-driven game, the unique environments help you remember where you need to go next after acquiring an upgrade. You're given extra incentive to explore off the beaten path because there's upgrades to find, like extra rocket ammo capacity and health modules. You'll often see an upgrade in the environment that you can't get to, which makes it stick in your mind for later. There are different interactable points in the environment that open up access to these new areas and can change up the world's level layout. A big fear with Metroidvanias for me is getting lost and not knowing how to progress, but I rarely felt that with Metroid Dread and only got stuck a few times. A large reason for this is the game will naturally lead you to the next travel point and have you explore along the way, but make sure you can't progress too far off the main path without the next upgrade. If you're ever at a loss for where to go next, you can open up Adam's Log, which is your robot companion that guides you at certain points throughout the game while giving exposition as to what's happening in the world.
The time has come. Samus, fulfill your destiny.
You'll be consulting your map very frequently as you look for where to go next based on the power-ups you have. It's very well designed and has some handy features that help guide you without being too hand-holdy. I can't imagine beating a Metroid game without a map, so props if you ever beat the NES original. At the end of certain environments, you'll face a boss. The boss fights were amazingly well designed, feeling very fitting of their character design. These really show off the cinematics of the game, putting you into interactive cutscenes during key moments in the fight. There's several different mini boss fights that you repeat multiple times throughout the game as well. These don't evolve much other than making the enemy do more damage or maybe give them a new attack. I did especially like these Chozo mech fights because they're designed to get you to constantly dodge their attacks while zipping around the arena, making the combat feel super fluid. The big new addition to Dread is the Emmy robots. These will patrol specific zones of the map, picking up Samus's movement if she's too close. If you get spotted by their sightline, they go into a chase mode where your only option is to play a deadly game of tag where the Emmy is always it. You do get a phantom cloak upgrade so the Emmy can't see you, but I didn't find it particularly useful since they can still walk into you activating the kill cutscene. You get 2 chances to counter the Emmy's attack, but the timing is very tight. Each of the 7 Emmys has a unique trait that you have to adapt to, which helps with the repetition. Though it does get a bit old if you have to repeat a section over and over after watching the same kill cutscene. Once you successfully make it through an Emmy zone and kill this blue brain in a mini-boss fight, you get the Omega Cannon. With the Omega Cannon, you go back and kill the otherwise invincible Emmy with proper luring and positioning. The game has a fairly dark tone, and the soundtrack definitely heightens that feeling. There weren't any standout songs per se, but it does a wonderful job at creating that dreadful atmosphere. Metroid Dread is a wonderful return for the series, both returning fans and newcomers can be proud of. It definitely earns its place among the best games the genre has to offer. The constantly new upgrades and diverse set of environments lend to the game's nearly perfect pacing. The brilliant level design is to be commended for connecting each zone in ways that are key to progression while never hindering exploration. The movement and combat are seamlessly linked in skillfully rewarding ways. The new Emmys completely change up how you move through an area with a focus on timing and finding the correct path. Metroid Dread delivered on the hype as it both innovates and refines the series. I can't wait to see what's next for the 2D and Prime series. Let's just hope Metroid Prime 4 doesn't take as long to come out as Dread did. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future.